What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are installing the Honsho swivel screen mount for the Model Y Juniper display. I think this is going to be a great upgrade. Let's jump into it. So it seems like a pretty straightforward install. Here's everything that it comes with. The instructions are underneath. You have the tools with the pry tool. You have the actual new mount itself that can swivel, as well as a few plastic pieces that will replace what is behind the screen right now. I've watched a few videos of other people doing this. Seems pretty straightforward. Let's dive in. So step one, straightforward enough. Simply power off your vehicle, and then I'm in the passenger seat so I don't accidentally put my foot on the brake to start the car back on. But now we should be good to do everything. So the first thing you want to do, it's gonna be hard to film and show all this at the same time, so I'm gonna explain it as I go, is to go underneath your screen and remove this bracket right here. This is where your temperature sensor is for your car. You want to remove this. It comes with one that you'll replace it with later. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, getting this piece out was a little more difficult than I thought it was gonna be, but we got it out. And you do not let this thing fall, because the temperature sensor is this guy. It's going to be hard to film this. Is this guy right here, and we are going to be reusing that on a new bracket later. So we're going to take this, unplug it, and set it off to the side because we are going to need it later. All right, now that you got the temperature sensor, we got that disconnected. You'll see the cable is now right here. You just gotta be careful. Do not pull it too hard. It feels like mine was like possibly stuck, the cable, because it didn't come out very far underneath the bracket, because it felt like there was like some resistance, but I could tell the cable could go farther. So just be very careful when you unplug this. But again, set this off to the side because we are going to reuse this temperature sensor at the end and put it on a different bracket to reinstall all this. So do not pull too hard. Do not yank this thing too hard when you're trying to release the clip that's holding it in. Okay, I'm sitting in the floorboard now. Next step, now that we have that plastic piece off, there are two bolts that are behind the screen. There is no way I can film myself taking these out at the same time, but they are directly right here and right here behind the screen. That is basically what's holding the screen into the car on its bracket. It came with a little tool. We're gonna remove those and then take the screen off. All right, just to give you guys a heads up, so if you decide to do this, if your screws, which makes sense, are in here like mine, they're really in here. They are so tight. My goodness. But we're getting the first one backed out now. Don't want to take it all the way and then work on the other one. Oh man, yeah, they are really in there. And because they're at an angle, you got to make sure you really line this thing up, because you can't just go straight in or it's gonna slide all around and come off the bolt. All right, here's bolt number one. We're gonna set it off to the side because we will need to use this later. And come on, there we go. There's number two. It's gonna be hard to show you guys under here, but for reference, right, where is it at? Right here, and then the one on the other side, right there. That's where the two bolts were that we just pulled out, that are holding the screen actually onto the bracket for the car right now. So the first thing is really just to back those two out, and they will be very, very tight. So be prepared for that. Okay, and the next step now is to very carefully, but to pull the screen off of the mount itself. There are two cables, two wires that are holding this thing also connected. So be very careful when you're pulling it off. Don't pull it too hard, but you can kind of just wiggle it, and it's gonna, you can feel it's gonna resist, obviously, because it's, there we go, hanging on just like that. We're gonna sit you right here for the moment, very carefully. And actually, if you want to, the foam that was part of the packaging for this, I'm gonna let the screen just kind of rest. I have a screen protector on, which make sure you have a screen protector, I highly recommend it. But I'm just gonna let it kind of rest on this to not put any pressure on it or on the car, the phone charger, or anything like that. So you can just kind of live right there for right now. And so you guys can kind of get an idea. These are the two bracket arms that we pulled the screws out of and pulled it out. And here are all the wires right here that we'll unplug and plug back in. And now the next step, I flipped the screen upside down. That's gonna give you kind of a better access point into where this plastic cover is to actually remove this plastic cover right here. So there are two screws holding it in. They are basically right here and on the other side. It's gonna be hard to film this. I'm gonna try my best to show where they are, but you wanna remove those next. That way you can take this cover off to then be able to unplug the wires. Gonna see if I can film it right here. Again, it's all very tight in here, so we're making it work. But yeah, there are two screws on each side, right here and right here. You might be able to see them. Yeah, right there. And then the same on the other side. You want to remove both of those so you can take this piece off. And just don't put too much strain on the wires, but if you flip it upside down, it can kind of just like sit like this pretty easily. And you use a T25 to get this guy out, which again, it comes with all of it in this kit. There's number one. Make sure to hold the screen when you're unscrewing the second one, because obviously the whole thing's gonna give a little bit when this screw is fully backed out. So be very careful not to let the screen just go falling face down or to get snagged by its own cables, because you don't want to put too much pressure on those. So now let's get these out and get this bracket harness off. There we go. But that is it's gonna be kind of awkward because you have like the metal bracket underneath here and everything too. But you just kind of want to let this sit to the side for a moment. So you just kind of got to wiggle it as best you can to get it past the metal bracket that's holding everything on. So now what we're doing is we're unplugging these two wires right here. And there's little clips. You can kind of see it on the right side of the fuchsia colored one. It's gonna be the same for the gray one right there. You want to be able to release those clips. If you have a set of pliers, I've heard that makes it a lot easier. Okay, first wire's out. I was able to kind of like just wiggle this plastic cover around, and that made it a lot easier. This one should be able to get with my fingertips. Yeah, that one comes right out. So be careful because now the screen is going to be completely free. Just kind of got to push it in and then wiggle these guys out just like that. Whew, that was a little bit difficult, but not that bad. It could just be I was overthinking it. And now I'm going to sit the screen up here, put it on my lap, and then I would recommend the little foam piece that it came with, put it on your center console, and just sit your screen upside down right there. So now you guys can see this is what this area looks like with the screen gone. So we are not going to need this piece anymore. Let's get you out of here. You were very difficult. Save it, because obviously if you ever want to take the screen back to its like original mounting setup, you want to keep this. So just sit it off to the side, put it in your garage, store it somewhere so you have it. Okay, I feel like the harder part is probably taking everything off because, at least for me, you're the most uncomfortable taking it apart for the first time. We're putting it back together. It's probably gonna be a lot more streamlined. But the next step now is the temperature sensor, the piece we took off with this plastic cover at the beginning. There's two screws on it on the left and the right side. And you wanna go ahead and back those screws out and take this temperature sensor out because we are actually gonna mount it on a piece that came with the kit for the new cover. So we're gonna go ahead and unscrew this from this bracket and sit it off to the side because we will need it at the end. And now that we have those two screws out, we can simply just take this and remove it from its little housing. It should just slide for the most part. Yep, right out just like that. Again, also save this because if you ever want to put the car back to like factory settings, if you were to sell it or anything like that, you're going to want to put all this back together, obviously. So I set this off to the side. And this is the new one that it comes with. You can do the step now, you can do it later. I'm just going to go ahead and do it while I have the screws. This is the new bracket you'll be putting the temperature sensor on. There's only one way, as you can tell by the setup, that this can go in. Just line it up, slide the squares in, and then take those same two screws that you took out of the original bracket and simply just screw it back in. I feel way more confident putting it back together than I did taking it apart for the first time. So just know if I can do this, if you're nervous about doing a upgrade like this, trust me, if I can do it, anyone else can do it. I am not a car person or anything like that, so it's a little nerve-wracking at first doing this because you're afraid you're gonna mess something up. But once you get going in it and you get confident in it, you're good to go. It's really not that bad so far. So let's screw you back in. And now comes the fun stuff, and that is actually attaching the new bracket to the car. I recommend, because this thing's gonna be really stiff, so obviously you don't want it like flipping and flopping around while you're driving, so it's gonna be pretty stiff, but it's like extra stiff right now. I recommend just kind of taking your hands on the bracket and just kind of loosening this up a little bit, taking it back and forth. Obviously when you have the dimensions of the screen helping leverage it, it's gonna move a little bit easier, but just to loosen it up a little bit, because it's gonna be really stiff from the factory. Just so you're not putting a ton of pressure on the screen right off the rip. So just kind of use it as like a hand workout. So now let's go ahead and attach this to the bracket in the car itself. And as you can see, there are two nubs. I don't know if you guys can see them, like right here and right here. That's to keep it when you slide this onto the car's mounting bracket, to keep it from going too far. Once they're touching that, you're good to go. So let's angle you guys down right here because this is really awkward to film and show at the same time. See if you guys can kind of see. You can see right there. It's going to slide on right here because I need both hands for this because you do have to give it a little bit of wiggle room because you're working with metal. So there's a little bit of discrepancy to kind of send it in, push this guy out, just slide it in back and forth, give it a little wiggle room, and then it will stop when it hits these two nubs and it can't go in any farther. Just like that. All right, now that we have the bracket, the new mounting bracket in place, we're going to take this cover, not the one that was originally with the car, it came with the kit, and you are going to mount it onto here. So you want to slide these cables through first because they're going to have to pass through here to connect to the screen. Slide it over the bracket like this, kind of just wiggle it back and forth, and then you're going to line this up where the two screw holes are that you had originally had the screen attached to. Those are going to go through this into the bracket and then back to the original mount, and that's what's going to lock all this into place. So basically just line it up for right now. Basically like that. And now we're going to take the two screws that were originally mounted to here and put them back in, and that's going to hold actually all of this into place together. We'll kind of just finger tighten the first one to hold it in place, and then the second one right here, come around. This one was a little harder to get out, so it might be harder to get back in. Yeah, it takes a little bit of finagling in there. Just finger tighten it to hold it into place, and now tighten this back up. Don't have to do it too tight, just tight enough. You don't want to over tighten these screws, or bolts, excuse me. There we go. We have our new mount. We're getting progress, y'all. All right, now we're gonna take the screen mount that was attached to the screen directly that we unscrewed through the cables. We're gonna get this run through the wires down here and then get everything connected back to the screen. We're almost done. So we can go ahead, we can pick the screen up, and again, I'm using this foam for everything. I'm just gonna sit it back down here, because we're gonna get ready to plug everything back in just a moment. But first, we gotta run this bracket through with the cables, because everything's gonna have to pass through here before reconnecting it to the screen. It says you wanna connect the wires back to the screen before screwing this bracket in. So I'm gonna follow it that way. I'm not sure which way is easier. It probably depends on how big your fingers are, but it says to go ahead and plug the wires in, the two for the screen, not the one which is the smaller black one. Here, I'll show you. So you're gonna re-plug in this gray cable and this purple cable. They match the ones down in the screen right there. This black one, as you remember, is the one for the temperature sensor. They'll get plugged in last. So those two guys, let's get them plugged in and then get this bracket attached. This is gonna be very difficult to film while also trying to hold everything into place, so bear with me a bit. Let's see how we can do this. What's gonna be the smoothest way to do this possible? Because these cables don't reach all the way down here, so you're gonna kind of have to pick your screen up. I'm gonna pick it up with the foam, just so I have a little bit of extra cushion to support it. And then let's plug these guys back in. You'll hear them click into place. I can't really show it with the way I have to film this. And again, I do apologize for that, but you will hear them click into place and snap. Make sure you pay attention. I realize I put the mount on backwards. This wider end needs to be the end that's gonna be touching the screen. This shallower end is what's gonna slide over the mounting bracket. So I gotta redo all that real quick. Make sure to pay attention to that. And now that we have this bracket on the correct way, simply slide it down and it's gonna screw in to this hole right here and this hole right over here through these openings using the two screws that were on there originally, on the original bracket. Just barely get them in just to keep the bracket into place. But just finger tighten them and then take a little hex tool, tighten them back down. Don't have to go too hard with it, just enough to make sure it's really good and attached. Do that on both sides. It's a little difficult because you have to kind of work your way around the new bracket as well. But trust me, all the sweat and everything installing this is gonna be worth it when this is all said and done. It's really not that difficult. And now we get to attach the screen to the new bracket. Make sure the temperature sensor cable right here is hanging down and not going to go as part of this. And you just take it, I'll show you guys in a second once I line it up myself, and you slide it on to the new mounting bracket. And there we go. It is attached. And I tilted it all the way up because now we're gonna use two additional screws that came with the kit. These were not part of the car, to attach the screen underneath on both sides over here. It's a little difficult to show you guys, but right here and then the one on the other side, that's where we're gonna mount with the two bolts that came with the kit to attach the screen to the new bracket. So yeah, just tighten on both sides. These two screws, they do not go in very far, so it does not take very much to get them tightened. And now we have one more step and we're basically done. And now the final step is to take your temperature sensor that again we put on the new bracket, reattach it. You'll hear it click just like the others. Just like that. Take the cable, get it back up inside here, and reattach it underneath on the bracket. So you guys can see a little better now that the temperature sensor is reattached right here. It's just gonna take the cable, push it up in there, and click this guy into place. And just like that, we are done. So you can see the screen can tilt up and down, just like that. It can tilt towards the passenger. It can tilt towards the driver. You can tilt it up again, just like that. Basically any direction you want, you can now angle it. Let's turn the car back on and make sure everything's good. All right, so now let's get back in the car. Wow, just open the driver's door. Turn screen right back on. Make sure, just double check everything. Make sure it works. Make sure you can kind of move the car around, that all the buttons and everything doesn't seem like there's any lag or anything. Everything seems to be working. Yeah, everything seems to be working properly. Sweet. That was not that bad really of an install. And as you can see from the driver's seat, it does stick out a bit further with like the phone chargers and everything down here, but you can take it and say, I want to have it towards me to have like navigation. I can angle the screen towards me. If Alicia wants to play with the music or anything like that, she can take it, angle it towards her. You can move it back. If there's a glare, you can move it down a little bit if you need to. You can move it up a little bit. It's a little stiff right now. I'm sure that's going to loosen up over time if you need to, but basically once you have it, I mean, for the most part into place, you're really not going to be moving it around that much, but having it at this angle facing more towards you while you're driving is so great. So there you guys go. That is the Honsho swivel mount for the Model Y Juniper screen, and this is the 2.0 version. I'll have this one linked in the description down below, and I have a discount code as well. It should save you about 20%. I'll have the information on screen right here as well as in the description. But this is the 2.0 version because the original version, it dropped the screen an inch, which blocked the phone chargers even more. This one comes straight out instead of going out and down. So that's why I like this version a lot more. So again, I'll have it linked in the description down below as well as a discount code and a percentage on screen for you guys to see right here. But hey, if you want to pick this up for yourself, I think it is a fantastic upgrade. It is worth any possible headache or frustration you might have installing it. Once it's done, you're going to love it. So there you guys go. Thank you all for watching. Let me know if you picked this up. Let me know in the comments down below if you decide to pick this up for your car. Works for this as well as the Model 3 Highland, I believe as well. It'll let you know when you look at the product link. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you very soon in the next one. Later.